Well then, so Blizzard did another oopsie, it seems, because, oh my god, you'd think they would try to slow down their crap. Turns out the higher-ups at Blizzard can't help but short-stroke themselves. I mean, you already started everything off bad at the last half of the year of 2018, when you announced Diablo Immortal that would only be a mobile game, and was just a cheap knockoff of a Chinese developed game that is going to rely heavily on microtransactions. And then you go like, well, don't you have phones? Little narrative bullcrap. And then you turn like all the retarded games journalists or movie review people on the masses because, oh, those people don't know any better. We know better. Trust us. Yeah, and you're going to do that crap. And then you have all these reports coming out about how you treat your employees terribly. And then your quarterly sales are dropping. I mean, your investors are leaving. Your stocks are low. And then you even have one of those cases of people getting mistreated being taken into federal court. I mean, you'd think Blizzard would try to rethink their strategy. But no, they really want that short stroke. I mean, they really need to get that extra stroke in on themselves because, oh my God, this is stupid. It's just stupid. And you know the reason why they're doing this is because of all those problems. I mean, they want to jerk themselves off, but they also want to get in that extra dollar for Overwatch. So, for the guys who don't know about this, the guys and gals who know nothing about this whole situation, a character named Soldier76 from the online video game Overwatch was confirmed to be gay. Why? Because apparently this had to have happened, I guess. I don't know why. No one really knows why, to be honest with you, unless you're one of those people on Twitter who are like, oh no, Soldier 76 being a straight male character is just a stereotype. Boo-hoo. Because, I mean, he's just a stoic badass. But then making him gay seems like, oh my God, he's such a great character now, even though he complained about him being a stoic character the whole time. So you can take that or you can take the mixture of the two, which is Blizzard wanted to pander, and Blizzard also wanted to get in that extra sale. So they made him gay for no reason at all, in a reasonable sense. And in an unreasonable sense, it's a stupid reasoning on either side or a mixture of both sides in that argument, but into that decision. And so this predictably is, not sitting well with people who play Overwatch. And it's not sitting well even with the LGBT community. And I'm not talking about the, oh my God, we want gay representation and everything. Let's change the sexuality of all the characters type of thing. I'm talking about people who are reasonable in the LGBT community. All right, because the reasonable people are being pissed off about this. Like Tess Spearhead, he's one of the biggest people in the Halo community. I saw him send out a couple tweets about the situation. He's like, this is disgusting pandering. I am myself a bisexual man. I admit to it. And I do not like this move, and I know it's pandering based on the stuff that I've seen out of Blizzard for the past half a year. And I've seen numerous people denounce it. I've seen get gay straight or whatever. And they're just like, what is the fucking point of this? And, it would be pretty reasonable to say, why are you doing this, okay? You think that's how most people would respond? Well, if you're a blue check mark on Twitter, not exactly. And of course, there's going to be the inevitable articles, and there's probably already been like 20 of them that's been written. There's a bunch of celebrities who are come out in defense of this. And I want to take this one to talk about a certain individual from a certain company that I think we had a somewhat reasonable discussion over this on Twitter. And you would know this company very well if you watched my channel at all. It's called Rooster Teeth. One of the, I guess, safe havens for gay characters, I guess, even though they don't really have many gay characters at all. But the person I'm talking about is not Barbara Dunkelman. It's not Jen Brown. It's not any of these jackasses. Well, Barbara Dunkelman's not a jackass. Why did I even say her name? It's Lindsay Jones. She's the one who plays Ruby in the show Ruby. And we had a somewhat reasonable discussion about this, but it did not start off well when the tweet that she had, and I'm going to take pictures of these tweets and put them into the video, so that way you can guys get context for it. I'm probably going to have to do it at the end of it because I'm not that skilled an editor, unfortunately. But she retweeted a tweet. It was a video about all the misogynistic or sexist tweets or homophobic. It was a homophobic storm of people on the internet saying, why the hell are they doing this? And I watched at least half the video, and I was like, at least half of those that I saw were just reasonable comments. They're just saying, why are you doing this? And a couple of them were like, in the sarcastic, oh my god, why are they doing this type of thing. It's like, oh my god, gay people are ruining everything, blah blah blah. Granted, there were some pretty crappy comments in there, but not even half of them filled it from what I saw. And the person she was retweeting that tweet from did not seem like a genuinely good person. All right, Lindsay Jones, she's somewhat of a good person based on the stuff I see her do. So, anyway, so we had a conversation about this, and I was just telling her, dude, you might want to backtrack on that, and saying, like, there's a lot of people who think that this is pandering, and, you know, you got to watch out for what you're doing there. I said that this just feels forced and everything. Let me try to find the tweet so I can actually read it to you. I had like yeah. Okay, so there were a couple tweets. I mean, she retweeted it with Chef's Kiss as a thing. It says, whine harder homophobes, and then she said Chef's Kiss. And then it was like, as a queer person, I love this. And seeing lots of complaints about it being shoehorned, and I really don't understand how. If we found another character had a heterosexual relationship with the past, would that feel shoehorned in? Would that be different because it's het? And she's like, I agree. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm seeing quite a few gay/bisexual people who see this as nothing but disgusting pandering, only to bolster sales because they can't be bothered to do anything else. And then you could talk about gay representation all day long, but changing them for no reason, character-wise, and for an online game, a game that has no set story, okay? I can't be bothered to watch, like, if I'm going to get a game that has a somewhat of a story, but it's just like random cutscenes that don't really fit into anything, there's no overarching story to really care about, like with something like Destiny 2, I'm not going to be bothered. I mean, top that off, I can't even play fucking Overwatch. So, I mean, I have no real vetted interest in Overwatch. I never did. I thought it was just, honestly, seeing all the marketing around it, I was like, it just doesn't really feel right. Granted, I'm going to try to get it soon. I wanted to get it on Black Friday, but I didn't have the funds for it. But anyway. Now, I was a bisexual person. If this was done on release, just like with Tracer, would not have cared. Apparently, this wasn't actually done on release. But I'm pretty sure they confirmed it, like Blizzard confirmed it like a couple days before release. I'm pretty sure like that, but I gave that to her because she sent me an article saying, like, people are reacting to Tracy's new girlfriend. I'm like, okay. And then she's like, blah, 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 blah. She's like, it's not and she says she admits it's not a perfect execution, which is good, okay? It's not her being a dick about it. She's saying the execution's not perfect. But she pulls out it would have been different. People probably would have felt differently. It was a het relationship, so just keep it gay. And I'm like, it's like, well, you might not feel it's terrible. It isn't terrible. I don't think calling people who disagree with you on this homophobic is constructive, especially with LGBT people who don't agree. I'm not saying you're a bad person. Far from it. Just please be careful with how you phrase your arguments and how you respond to criticism. Don't retweet people calling others homophobic for not liking it. There are homophobic people who don't like it, obviously, but most people don't. And then she responded, whoa, I retweeted a compilation which included clearly homophobic reactions. This is the only aspect I was focusing on. I'm saddened to hear that any other interpretation could be made. On another throat, they did confirm Tracy's sexuality post-release. I was like, okay, made a mistake there. At least half of those were people just asking why. Granted, though, there were stupid parts in the vid, but at least half of those were just people irritated with political stuff and gaming or getting tired of it. People just want to go to gaming to live in escapism. They don't want to have to deal with social problems or get beaten up the head with it. And you would think that you would kind of end it there. I kind of wanted to end it there because I just really didn't want to go on. I mean, I don't like arguing with people I think are decent. Like, yeah, sometimes I'll argue with them sometimes. Miles Luna, he seems like nice enough of a dude, but he does tweet out pretty stupid shit on a regular basis. Same thing with Bernie, though I don't really follow Bernie's Twitter, so I don't really know. The only thing I can really hold against him right now is how he handled the whole IGN plagiarism controversy. Now it seemed that he was just being a little bit too biased on that one. But he said, well, in my honest opinion, that reaction is a form of failed homophobia, which I addressed to a few times in the thread, and she was doing this as a quote tweet to, she quote tweeted that to me. I said, well, then what about all the LGBT people who are agitated by this? Are they being homophobic, and is this internalized homophobia? And then she said they're entitled to their opinions and criticism. I can't speak on behalf of their orientation. I do feel there's something to be said about how large people have stopped sizing games. Reactions are solely based on non-hetero relationships. Thanks, yo. And that just kind of set off something in me. So, okay, so you're clearly admitting that there are LGBT people who don't like this decision, that think it's shoehorned in and tacked on. Okay? You're clearly admitting that. But then going into, you're going to say that most of the people who hate this stuff are just caring about the non-heterosexual relationships, which is clearly not true. Okay? There are plenty of other works. And I even said this. I said there are other sources of entertainment that have gay characters and do it without being preachy or forced in like the others. Like Tim Pool. He has there was a kid show that he used to watch as a kid, and I'm pretty sure he used to watch. Used to watch it because I vaguely remember the description. It was a black kid, he's a superhero. He had the powers to control lightning. I think it was a DC show, and his friend and the superhero's best friend was gay. And the show dealt with a lot of social issues, including racism. And even shows that and a lot of other shows I grew up with, like Danny Phantom, that show dealt with adult stuff, and it did it really maturely. Same thing with Avatar: The Last Airbender, not Legend of Korra. But there are a lot of things you can do with it. A lot of things you can do with kids' media or even video games to go through social issues without sounding so preachy. And you can have an open conversation with like both sides of an argument. Unlike with Supergirl, which handles it in the most retarded way possible and is not even trying to hide how bad it's trying to push forward its politics. Then she responded, again, I feel like you're not acknowledging my point. Your complaint is that it wasn't released originally or organically and pointed to Tracer's reveal as the ideal. Pointed to the image providing how the reveals are pretty damn similar, yet we're going in circles, so I do. So, but the Tracer thing was built up. There were rumors. Okay, and I remember this specifically because I was like, oh, they're going to make her gay. They're making somebody gay. I mean, there were articles about this shit. There was articles, and there was people speculating within, not even really the Overwatch community, but there was just a lot of stuff they were talking about before the game ever released about somebody being gay, and I'm pretty sure they confirmed it a few days before. Well, not even a few days before, maybe even a week before, because I remember talking with the guy who was bisexual about this too. He said he didn't necessarily mind, but he did feel it was tacked on. But he thought it was funny to see how people reacted to it. Okay? And I know this guy on Instagram. I haven't talked to him in a while, but I mean, yeah. But, I mean, they clearly built that up. And if the game failed regardless, or the game succeeded regardless, I don't think people really cared. But these were in two different time periods. Alright, and I responded, but the thing with Tracer was built up. I found out before the game even announced, or at least I figured it out before the game was ever released, not announced, released. There was speculation and build up to it, and at the time, no one really cared. But in this divisive age, even a pin drop is controversial. So that was my whole reasoning behind that. All right, that was my experience with the other side. And there was another person in there who was acting like a dickwad about it. And they were like, I can't speak towards other people's opinions on it about internalized homophobia. And like whether this was a yes or no thing. But I'm like, dude, this was clearly tacked on. Okay? But that was my experience with the other side. Now I'm going to close with this. We're not really going to close. I'm going to try to get through this next part here. So Blizzard has not been handling their stuff well. We know this. Ever since they announced Diablo Immortal, and then they said that all their best video game designers were going to be working on the mobile game, how they really seem to be having a handle on everything. And top that off, Blizzard's been fucking up with PR before. Like, I watched a video by JonTron about a month ago talking about how there was this modded game of one of the original Warcraft games to where, like, it was still like the original Warcraft game and not messed up through updates and stuff like that. It was just their own little thing, and it had like thousands and thousands of players. And then Blizzard shut it down and ended up trying to sue those people who were running it, even though it wasn't for profit. I mean, JonTron made this huge rant about it where he's just like, give people the original game. Stop changing shit. All right, they just keep changing shit and fucking everything up. He's like, it needs to stop. Okay, and like people really wanted that little thing back because it just reminded them of so many good memories they had. And this is the same thing that really goes into the Diablo controversy. Okay, people wanted another Diablo game. Okay, all they really released, from what I've seen, is just expansion pack after expansion pack for Diablo 3. I haven't had much experience with Diablo. I've heard it's great. Like, I know a lot of people really liked it, but I mean, I can't really speak to my experience with it. I've never actually played a Blizzard game before. All I know is how far they really spread in like how they've influenced culture. Like South Park did episodes about Blizzard, for Christ's sake, okay? Blizzard was a company constructed on fans. And they're kicking their fans in the dirt. Okay? And like I said, in this divisive age, even a pin drop can just be the thing that ends you. It will always cause controversy in this controversial age. We're living in 2019. 3 years ago was a freaking presidential election. Things got really bad. Things got really heated. Okay? And it seems that since that time, it has just gotten worse and worse and worse. People keep throwing their hands into politics when they really shouldn't be. Looking at you, Rooster Teeth. Nope. They're acting all authoritative on every issue because they think they know more than you. And when they're getting called out on it, like Quentin Reviews has, they're going to act entitled, saying, "Oh, you're just calling me an NPC. Boo, 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 hoo, hoo." And Jesus Christ, I will be making a video on Quentin soon if he keeps doing his shit. And fuck. It's just, I do not blame people. All right, and I'm definitely not going to be one to try to get any of Blizzard's newer games. I mean, I might get Overwatch, but I mean, I sure as hell ain't going to get a Diablo Immortal on my phone. Why the fuck am I not? Why the fuck should I? There's nothing to appeal for me there. All right, the stuff that I want from major franchises that are on mobile are just things that I can play in a short period of time. Like, there's this fan-made game on Google Play Store. I don't know if it's on the Apple App Store, but it's on the Google Play Store. And it's a Halo version of, like, Temple Run. And it's all pixelated and everything. And I have a lot of fun with that game, but it's not something I'm going to spend 3 hours a day playing. All right, NASCAR Heat Mobile. Granted, I do not like how it relies a lot on monetization. Like, you have to buy stuff in-game in order to get different paint schemes and everything, which I think is just stupid to get downloadable content. Sometimes they'll release things free or cheap that you can use in-game currency with, but it's just, you gotta pay. You still got to pay for it. I mean, there was a lot of stuff like that, but I still have fun with it. I just wish that there are things that they could change it in order to make it work better. Okay, and I don't think the mobile game market is completely trash. It's not the worst thing ever, but they really do need to fix it. Like, if you're going to make mobile games really, like, if Blizzard's really going to try making mobile games into their new shtick, they need to find a way to convince their hardcore gamers that follow them, which are primarily PC gamers. They're going to have to find a way to convince them that we can do good on mobile. And they're not going to do that with Diablo Immortal. They're not. Okay? The only real game franchise where I've seen them actually take a game formula that exists on a console or a PC and move it over to a phone has been Dead Space. Right? Because the guys at Visceral actually made the game like Dead Space. Okay, you think that would be, like, impossible, right? Like, how the hell are you going to take Dead Space, one of the greatest horror IPs of all time, and make that work on an iPhone? But they did, and I had fucking fun with that game. It had an engaging story, it had good voice acting, it had good action, it had good horror. It worked like a Dead Space game should, and it did it on mobile. And this was after they did the stuff on the Wii U. They even made the Wii, not the Wii U, they even made the Dead Space on the Wii work. And that's a game that is, that people critically pan the Wii for not being very great on their stuff, on their hardware when it comes to, like, action games and everything like that. So, I mean, you can make things work, Blizzard. Just don't fuck over your entire audience, okay? What they could have done with Diablo Immortal, or what they could have done with even Overwatch. I mean, I know they have a mobile version of PUBG, for Christ's sake, and the actual game is barely finished. But what you could have done was just done what PUBG did, all right? I know, looking towards Bluehole is the prime example of how to make a mobile and a console thing right. Yeah, how ironic of me. But they made the thing in PUBG on consoles, and then they made the thing on mobile. And they released it on mobile. And people have fun on it. Okay? You could have just done that. You could have had Diablo Immortal be its own thing that was made on PC, but then do the thing with the mobile stuff. I mean, or you could do what the Quartering suggested. Just have stuff announced about Diablo Immortal, but then tease people with the possibility of Diablo 4. And people want Diablo 4. But they didn't get it. They're probably not going to get it for the next 5 years or so, because they're really going to hammer home the microtransactions thing, which is not even guaranteed to work anymore as a sales strategy because of the controversies surrounding how microtransactions have been used and how it's getting investigated so much to the point that people are starting to people are trying to get laws passed to make it seen as gambling, which is a good thing, because that would mean that people would stop with the fucking microtransactions in gaming. Okay. So the whole point I'm trying to make here is that Blizzard just keeps on fucking up, and then from the way they treat their fans to the way they even treat their own damn employees, which are fans, by the way, in most cases. I mean, they've really betrayed their audience. And I know you've probably heard that stuff after the whole Diablo Immortal situation, but it has to be reiterated and reiterated. They betrayed their core audience. And by pandering to a social justice base in order to try to get some extra money out of a game that has a very declining multiplayer, okay? And just for reference, for other game franchises who had huge multiplayers long past their prime in terms of how not only the console they were played on, but how many people played on it in terms of multiplayer. Halo 2 and Star Wars Battlefront 2 were the two most played games on the Xbox, on the original Xbox in terms of online multiplayer before Microsoft shut down the Xbox Live servers in 2012, I believe. Okay, and that's a long time. Those games were nearly a decade old, released around the same time, yet they were able to keep a constant player base long after nearly 2 generations passed. Okay, that's amazing. But you're not going to see that with Overwatch. Because Overwatch And I'm going to say this same thing with a bunch of other online games. It has no other way of keeping people entertained within the game. I cannot play an online-only game and be entertained just for that reason. That is why I will really never play Fortnite or PUBG, or why I won't play Battlefield 5 ever again. Because I cannot get any other form of enjoyment from the game. Because if you're going to put all your focus on the online modes, and you're just going to fuck story in the ass and just leave it for the internet, I mean, that's just pretty lazy. And then with how they sold their souls to the Chinese market, they really fucked up here. And it's a bad example of how to lead your gaming studio. And this is bad with Activision too, because they're the ones who perpetuate it as well, but I think Blizzard did this one subconsciously to themselves. And I'm not talking trash on the people who are working there and just want to do their jobs and want to have fun. I'm talking trash on the people who run the damn place. I'm also talking trash on the people who perpetuate this type of shit online, who encourage them to do this. Just stop. Right? There's a reason people think the current state of gaming is at a just gradual decline. And there is evidence to show that. Stocks after stocks just going down for most of these major gaming companies because of the stupid decisions they make. Okay, this needs to stop. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that little video on Blizzard and all this crap. And the LGBT stuff. It's just... things do not look good for gaming. And I hope in the future some company will come along and revitalize the game model like Bungie did in 2001. Just someone does that like that. They do it so well that people end up having that gamers end up not only having more faith in developers, but also have more of a trust between gamers and developers. It would work well for everybody. Well then, so Blizzard did another oopsie, it seems.